If you could introduce yourself in the chat, that would be lovely. We'd like to know who you are, where you work, and what subject you teach, because it's really useful for us to see the different subjects, because the more we look into the different subjects, the more we find exciting and interesting ways of using this new sort of emerging technology. So that's really good. If you could also mute yourself while others are speaking. We will have a discussion later, and we do want to hear from you. It's really important. But due to numbers, if you could either raise your hand using the reactions or put something in the chat, we'll monitor the chat and everything like that. That would be brilliant. Right, now I'll just quickly start off and introduce myself. I'm Anne Scrimshaw, and I run the Fab Lab at Sandwell College in the West Midlands. And the Fab Lab is a place where people can come and make almost anything. It's a maker space, and we've got laser cutters, 3D printers, CNC machines, and we really encourage people to make all sorts of things to help with their learning, and also it helps with their self-confidence and make them realize that actually they're capable of a whole lot more than they think possible. And one of the things that we've started doing, we've branched out this year, is we've started doing this project funded by the West Midlands Combined Authority for emerging technologies. And this is where I hand over to Ben, who is our emerging technologies demonstrator. Over to you, Ben.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ben. And as Anne says, I have the wonderful job title of Emerging Technologies Demonstrator here at the Fab Lab and here at the college. Today, I'm going to talk to you about augmented reality, how you can use it in your teaching, how you can apply it to make things more exciting, how to kind of bring lessons to life and explain concepts in a completely new, exciting and interesting way. So I hope you find it interesting. And if you've got any questions throughout, by all means, do feel free to pop in the chat. And there'll be a section at the end where you can ask questions in a little bit more detail if you'd like to. So, what is augmented reality? Well, chances are you've probably already used augmented reality. And if you haven't used augmented reality before, I imagine either your children or your students have probably used it in one form or another. The idea with augmented reality is that it's a way to look at the real world, but it's augmented. So something's kind of added to it as a result. So, for example, as you can see in the picture there, it's the real world, but you've added a tiger in. So there's lots of different examples where augmented reality is used, and it's really exploded as a form of technology over the last 5 years, I would say. So if you've ever used a Snapchat, Facebook or Instagram filter, you're using augmented reality. If you've ever downloaded and played Pokemon Go, that's also a form of augmented reality. Or if you've ever, sort of used any kind of sort of filter or anything similar like that, then that's also a form of augmented reality. So it's quite widespread. It's quite subtle in many ways because a lot of the time you don't kind of notice it. It's just kind of there. But there are some really kind of interesting, powerful, and transformative things that you can use it for in teaching. So what I'll run through today is kind of some of my kind of favorite apps that you can use with augmented reality, how you can kind of get to grips with them, how you can use them within your classes. And some of my favorite apps that you can use kind of for different subjects. And then I'll show you a little activity you can do with your students where you can make your own holographic cubes to use in the classroom. And I'll give you a little bit of a teaser about where this technology is going kind of now and in the next few years. So I've shown you this photo of augmented reality and I've talked about it, but there's an enormous amount of possibilities and potential for augmented reality beyond what you might kind of think from what we've just said or what I've kind of shown you. So augmented reality has this amazing power to not only allow you to kind of view objects, but also to kind of view things that you wouldn't normally be able to kind of see or handle or be able to touch. So you can view things that are absolutely enormous. For example, say like a solar system. You can view things that are extremely tiny, like a cell or a molecule or a chemical reaction. But you can also use it to touch and see things that you wouldn't normally be allowed to touch. So things like ancient artifacts, or even if you wanted to use it to prototype things. Say, for example, if you wanted to preview a 3D model that you designed in CAD to 3D print or to produce in, say, the Fab Lab, you can preview it in augmented reality before you actually need to make it, because it can sometimes take quite quite a long time to print something out. I know something that I tried to print at the weekend took 10 hours. So it was a lot easier for me to look at it in AR beforehand. But it also allows you to kind of unlock things as well. And this is a really powerful use of AR. You can use it to kind of sort of add hidden layers to things, add new dimensions to things, you know, almost like opening a box or kind of turning over a card. You can use it to kind of sort of find out more, more information about something, which is a really kind of clever and interesting use. And again, nowadays, at least in the last year or so, and this is something that's really going to develop moving forwards, is the ability to use AR to kind of try things out, try out a sofa in your living room, try out a different form of makeup, try out a new piece of clothing. So there's a really broad, exciting uses of AR, and I can guarantee that there's at least one or two uses for each of your individual subjects. But instead of me kind of waxing lyrical and talking about it, it probably makes more sense if I show you it. So as you can see, what I love about AR is the fact that it's almost a next level textbook. It's not just viewing something as a diagram in a textbook. It's taking it to a whole new level where you can see something, in real life. You can also obviously use it for things like filters as well. I think it was a little bit lagging there, so I'll just replay that section. But then you can also use it for things like artwork as well. So you can add kind of extra layers onto things to kind of view things in a kind of 3 dimensions. So you can take an illustration and then kind of add objects, which will allow you to kind of see things with new layers on. You can obviously design your own filters. You can try out different types of clothes, see what they might look like in the real world. It's going to have a really transformative effect for fashion, for example. Or to, like I said, unlock content. Take something static and make it moving to add more information to it. And one of my favorite uses of AR is in playing cards. You can take cards with pieces of information, and I'm sure within your own kind of within your own individual subjects, you'll have used flashcards at something at some stage for a form of activity. But I love the way that AR can kind of add another dimension and unlock information with a flashcard. And even something vocational like painting and decorating, there are uses. For example, trying out different colors of paint for your walls or different types of wallpaper. So it's a really diverse and interesting and exciting technology and wide range of uses. And we're really excited to be kind of using this technology, and we're really excited to be showing it to you because we think there's going to be so many different uses across the college and hopefully across the West Midlands. So today I'm going to talk to you about 4 of my favorite apps that I would recommend for you to kind of get started with AR. If you want to get started with AR with your students in the classroom, these are the 4 apps that I'd recommend to take a look at first. The wonderful advantage of AR is that provided your students have a smartphone, they can use augmented reality, assuming their smartphone is relatively modern. Sometimes we say, well, are they going to have the technology on their phones to be able to do this? But in reality, if they're using things like Snapchat or Facebook or Instagram with filters, then they definitely have the kind of technology in the phones to be able to kind of use all of these things. So it's more than likely that they will already have this technology with them available on their smartphones. And it's something that you can do not only in the classroom, but you can also do as a way to kind of add an extra level of interactivity with remote learning. So the first one that I want to show you is Google Arts and Culture. And this one's really good if you are sort of maybe your teaching circle is within, say, kind of art or design, and it's a way to kind of see different types of artworks, visit museums, visit galleries, and basically kind of go on school trips really without being able to kind of sort of leave your room or leave the classroom. There's a whole raft of different things you can do with it. So there are 3 ways that you can kind of navigate the app. There's a little camera button that you can press on the on the main page, which allows you to kind of sort of change your face into kind of different pieces of artwork, or kind of bring different pieces of artwork into your room so you can kind of see them in real life. Or you can even kind of go and have a look inside kind of a pocket gallery, where you can sort of wander around an art gallery but in your living room. There's also a huge raft of different models as well. So on this slide, I've listed obviously the different ways that you can navigate around this app, but these are 3 completely different ways that you can navigate around the app. And it's the only app I've ever used where you can get completely lost in its content, because there's kind of so much of it. But if you're looking for kind of 3D models, certain objects, maybe ancient artifacts for, if you're say like a history teacher or an art and design teacher in terms of paintings, this would be my recommended go-to app to start with. And as you can see with this one, it's sort of superimposed an art gallery into your living room. And then you can either kind of walk around your living room to kind of navigate and kind of see different aspects of it with your phone, or you can obviously drag along with your fingers as well. Another app that I think will probably have applications within almost every subject, to be honest, and I've gone through and I've looked at all of the content, is an app called Google Expeditions. So again, this is available on iOS devices and Android devices. Download it, and in order to find augmented reality, you just need to kind of go to the top here and click over the AR button, and then you can see all of the different types of AR that's available within the app, or you can search for it. For anyone who attended our talk last month, you should already be familiar with Google Expeditions for its uses within virtual reality, but it's also got arguably probably more interesting and more exciting content in augmented reality. But if you're a science teacher, any type of science, if you're a history teacher, geography teacher, if you teach even things like languages, maths, there's content in there in the app available. And as you can see, I mean, it really kind of brings to life, something that you would normally have to rely on, sort of inside a textbook with a 2D diagram. You can literally pick it up and, sort of bring it into the room, walk around it, zoom in on it, see it from different angles, and really kind of bring it to life. And I mean, if you imagine how complicated a model like that would be to buy, or even to kind of bring into the classroom, or how expensive it might be compared to something on your phone, which you can just kind of pop in automatically, it's quite amazing. The other really exciting feature about this app is the guide feature of it. I'll go back in a moment and show you how you can access this. But when we are hopefully all back in the classroom, you can use this feature sort of as a teacher to sort of lead a discussion around certain objects in the classroom. So I'll show you how you can find it. But basically, it's once you've kind of downloaded an object, there is an option here for guide. And what it means is that all your students can use phones or tablets, and you can use your phone or tablet as like a master, as like a master phone or master tablet, meaning that whatever you kind of twist or show kind of on your screen, they will also see on their screens as well. And you can print out these kind of almost like QR codes that you can kind of sort of stick around the room. And in each of these groups, there's usually about 5 or 6 different objects, and each object will be given a different QR code. So you can print out the QR code, stick them around the room, and then you can kind of sort of move around the classroom and sort of hold your phone up against a different QR code, and it will show one specific object in a different kind of corner of the room. So again, a really kind of exciting and interesting use and interactive use of AR there. Another one which I think is quite a universal app, and you'll easily find content for almost any subject, is one called Sketchfab. So again, this one's available for both iOS and Android devices. Just download it and think of it as a Google image search, but for 3D objects. So it's got a really wide range of 3D objects on there, some which have been kind of created by sort of users in the Sketchfab community. You don't need to use an app for this. You can actually go onto their website and see 3D models as well. So if you wanted a way to kind of bring some 3D models into your classroom already through Zoom or remote teaching, you could go onto the Sketchfab website, pull up a model of something. It could be an engine, it could be a digger, it could be a piece of human anatomy, and you could show it to them kind of on your screen via screen share. But you can also encourage people to kind of go onto the app as well, type something in, and look at a model as well, so they can kind of get a different perspective on it. So in this case, we're looking at the Eiffel Tower. In this case, you can see it just as a 3D model, which you can twist and turn around with your fingers. But if you tap this button here, which is in the top right-hand corner, when you're looking at the object, you can load it up into augmented reality. But the type of models that exist on the app are really varied, really widespread. So chances are you will be able to kind of find something for your subject. And again, if students don't have access to this on their phones, they can also load it up on a web browser as well, which makes it quite universally compatible. So moving on, I want to show you something really exciting, which is something called a merge holocube. Now, this allows you to create a holographic cube, which will allow you to touch and hold holograms with your hands. And it's completely free. All you need is a piece of paper and a printer. And I'll share with you the link on the next screen. Obviously, I'll come out with the presentation as well, sort of at the end. But all you need to do is print this out. You can print it out as many times as you want. It'll go out on an A4 piece of paper, and you can get your students to kind of cut it out, stick it together, and make it into this little cube that you can then use with augmented reality. So you can make them this size, you can make a whole classroom set, or if you're feeling ambitious, you can make a really massive one like we've done in the Fab Lab. So again, if you're interested in having a really massive merge holo cube, do reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you make one and show you how to do it. But the advantage of this one is that when you are back in the classroom, you can have all your students using their phones or tablets, and you can literally hold the object that you're talking about, turn it around, show it from a different angle, as if you had that model with you. I mean, for example, if you were, say, teaching automotive, you couldn't really pick up an engine and move it around and kind of show it from different angles. Or if you were a history teacher, you couldn't take a really old, mummy or ancient artifact and kind of pick it up with your hands. But with something like this, you can, and you can show it from different angles and really kind of use it to kind of bring things to life. So I think it's a really exciting use of teaching. So how does it work? You can go to this link here, mergecube.com/paper PDF. You can buy these, but they are about 20 quid or so. And if they're offering them for free, and the company's happy to offer them for free, then you can also just print them out. And then all you need to do is you just need to download an app to your phone, which is called Merge Object Viewer. So you can download it to your phone, you can download it to a tablet, but you can also download it onto Windows PCs as well, I think if you've got a webcam or a camera attached. And once you've opened the app, it will give you quite a wide selection of different objects that you can kind of search through. Some of them really are quite incredible. And all you need to do is just basically find what you're looking for and then select it. And then it will download onto your device. And you literally just hold the cube in front of your camera. And then you can pick it up and move it around. But it really is quite something, and you can pinch on your screen as well to kind of make it bigger and smaller. But the really kind of exciting use of this this app is that you're not just limited to the models that Merge have on their app or on their website. You can actually find your own 3D models and bring them into the app. You create an account and you can upload your own 3D models. So for example, if you can't find anything on the app, but you find something, say, on Sketchfab, and you want to bring it into the cube, you can download it from Sketchfab, upload it to Merge, and then bring it in as a cube. Or if you find a 3D model somewhere else on the internet, you can bring it into Merge in order to kind of show people. Or if you are a product design, 3D design lecturer, engineering lecturer, where you're teaching CAD, making 3D objects, you can use this as a way for students to kind of prototype different objects as well, because they can make something, whatever it is they're making on, say, Fusion 360, and then they can upload it to a personal Merge account, and then they can literally pick up their design and have a look at it from different angles, so that they can really see what they've made and investigate it and make sure they haven't made any faults or got any problems with it. And it's definitely going to be the future in terms of how we test things before we make things, because I mean, from our own experience in the Fab Lab, if you want to 3D print something, even something the size of this cube could take 10 hours. It's not a quick process, but if you can view it instantly, it saves a lot of time, and is really powerful. Similarly, there are ways to, if you're looking to if you've got objects but you want to kind of bring them into a 3D space because you think that it might be easier for students to see them because they may be particularly big or particularly small, or in the case of maybe some more kind of manual trades, they're dirty, they're heavy. There are ways to kind of 3D scan objects as well. So within the Fab Lab, we have a couple of iPad Pros which can basically scan an object and make a 3D model of it. But you can also use a wide variety of different software as well, where you take pictures from different angles, which is called photogrammetry. And there we also have a sort of a proper 3D scanner in the Fab Lab as well that will scan small objects. So potentially, if there are objects that you have and you use within your teaching, and you want to kind of be able to kind of, I suppose, give them to students digitally in one form or another, we can help you 3D scan them and then bring them into this app, and then they can access it from anywhere they are. There are also lots of other apps that I'd recommend for really interesting, diverse reasons, and it just shows how interesting and varied AR can be. There's always so many different things that you can do with art. I only put 2 here, but there's loads more. Don't worry, Rupinder, I'll email you after with the links for all the other ones, because I know you're always keen to try them out. One really interesting app is called Sketch AR, where it can sort of teach you how to draw. And what it does is it might take a drawing, sort of say a basic drawing of a face or an animal or a tree or something, and it will sort of show you the drawing on, it will basically kind of sort of superimpose the drawing onto a piece of paper using AR. And then you can use it to kind of sort of trace over the drawing, to kind of sort of learn how to draw different shapes, different objects, and different illustrative stuff. There's also an app called Just Align, which I've put under art, but actually you could use in a wide variety of different subjects, which allows you to kind of sort of draw in 3D, sort of draw with just with white lines in 3D, but you can draw in the air with your phone, and then you can kind of move around the room and draw in a different area, and whatever you draw will stay in the same place in the room. And you can even share that with one other person. So you can, for example, use it to play, I don't know, noughts and crosses with each other, or there's a real wide variety of uses, and in each of your subjects there'll be something different. Beauty is another area where I think AR is going to be completely transformative. Apps like You Can Makeup, I can't say I've personally tried it myself, but it allows you to try on different lipsticks, different types of makeup, from sort of established beauty companies, without having to kind of go to the shop and try them on yourself. So you can try it out to check that you've got the right shade or you've got the right color before you actually buy it, which is obviously a massive boon if it's expensive in the first place. And again, a really interesting area where you would think, there isn't going to be any technology in this area, but there is. There are uses for it. As I showed you in the video earlier, there are uses for things like painting and decorating with Dulux apps, which allow you to visualize different colors before you paint them, which is definitely helpful. Prevents you buying all those little tester pots, hopefully. History, there's some really great apps for kind of imagining previous historical events, historical scenarios that can, sort of be replayed in your living room through the beauty of AR. Even with languages, you might not think it, but things like Google Translate use AR. So there's been a feature on Google Translate for at least the last 5 years, if not longer, where you can hold your camera up to text that's written in another language, and it will basically sort of change the text on what you can see through your camera into the language of your preference, and it will even try and kind of match the font as well. I mean, again, as someone who speaks a language, it's not always the best way to kind of learn a language through a translation app, and they don't always get them right. But again, an interesting use of AR in an area which you wouldn't necessarily expect it. And finally, there's even uses within maths. And I always think maths is an unloved subject when it comes to technology. People don't create enough materials, digital materials, edtech stuff for maths. But in this case, there's even an app which you can use for maths to visualize 3D models and graphs. So I thought I would stick that one in because I do feel like maths always kind of gets left out a little bit, and it's a little bit unloved, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And I'm sure, well, there are definitely lots of uses with VR and AR. I think we've just got to find them and discover them. So that covers most of what I wanted to say about AR at the moment. But what I wanted to show you now is where I think AR is going and what the future of AR, augmented reality, is moving forwards, and how it's going to transform the way we live, the way we learn, and the way we work. This device here is called Zapbox. It's currently in development and I'm hoping it'll be released in the next few months. Actually, I've ordered a couple, so I'm waiting for them eagerly. And what it does is it kind of takes AR, but adds a whole new level to it. So we're still using a mobile phone, but what you do with this one is you pop your phone into a headset. So those of you who saw my talk last month about VR will have seen about cardboard headsets with virtual reality. This is a similar idea, but with augmented reality. And the idea is that you pop your phone into a headset, and then you've got these hand controllers which you can use to kind of pick up, move, and manipulate things within reality. So you can use it to, sort of play games, take part in interactive scenarios, but inside the real world. We are more than happy to advise you on using different types of apps, finding different types of apps. I mean, the ones that I mentioned previously there are only just a small selection of what currently exists. If you want help making your own 3D models to kind of bring in for your students to use on their phones, we can do that. We can help you with 3D scanning objects, the idea of photogrammetry. Even if you just want a really massive hollow cube, we can help you out with it. Or coming up with new apps, brainstorming new ideas. Whatever your thoughts are, we would love to hear them, and we'd love to help you, sort of make these dreams become reality. So on that note, I'll leave you with my contact details. If you want to get in touch, by all means, feel free to drop me an email. But if it's just a chat that you want, you can also just go to the following link and just book in a slot with me in my calendar. It saves having to do the back and forth emails of when I'm free, when you're free, etc. And we can just have a talk about technology, how it might fit in with within your world, and what the potential might be for it, sort of now and in the future. But thank you very much for your time.